Jesus is a friend of mine.
I have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
He taught me how to live my life as it should be. He taught me how to turn my cheek when people laugh at me. I've had friends before, and I can tell you that he's one who will never leave you flat.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Welcome to Rhino and Loose.
Good evening. I like our new theme music.
You wonder how we're able to do it. It's because we have such, influential friends.
If you're watching this actually on YouTube, you need Jesus.
Well, that's a matter of opinion.
It is. It is.
Why does it have to be Jesus?
I mean, I guess it could be Buddha or someone, but it
What
doesn't
if
sound
they're
as
all-
good. Buddha
what if they're
is
all
a
the same
friend of-
thing?
Actually, it does sound good.
Well, it does sound. Buddha actually sounds better in some ways.
Buddha is
Buddha
a friend of mine.
I got a friend in Buddha. I got a friend in Buddha.
Welcome once again to Rhino and Loose. We got a lot to do tonight. You know, we do. We flip it around. There's a lot of good stuff going on in sports right now.
Confucius is a friend of mine. Confucius, my friend. Okay, I'm sorry. I got off on a tangent as I'm ought to do.
I mean, we can remix this any way we want.
That's exactly right.
We could play with this. There's
Okay.
a good enough bed at the beginning. I think we can loop it. and make
Edit
that work.
mark. Okay. Here we go.
Edit mark.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. We said this wasn't going to be a sports show per se,
Right.
but sometimes sports is just going to take over the narrative.
I mean, it has to at sometimes. We got a lot coming up. We got the Falcons. There's a lot of moves. Arthur Blank made a move this week, so we'll talk about that.
Playoff season, baby.
It's playoff season, so we got the NFL playoffs. We got the college football championship coming up, but we're going to talk about UCF. We're going to talk about Antonio Brown.
We
What's
got to
going
talk about
on?
UCF?
Yeah, we got to talk
I
about
guess
UCF.
we gotta talk about
We have
UCF.
to talk about UCF.
Briefly, please.
We got some other stuff about going on with Sesame Street that we need to talk about. And then PETA. PETA's making a appearance again. We're going to talk about that as well. So we got a lot to go, but I do want to get on to the Falcons because this was a big story this week. This was huge.
Yeah.
So obviously everybody's heard, and feel free to call us at any time. Our phone number, and we can take you live, 404-424-9119. But Arthur Blank made a big move this week, and he fired his wife.
My God.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I did not hear about that.
You didn't hear about
Well,
this?
It must have been a salary thing.
Too much money going out.
I
I
guess
wonder what the
so.
severance package looked like.
Yeah, I wonder,
I'm hoping she got a good one. I'm hoping she got
She's
it.
got a pretty good parachute. She has a pretty good golden parachute.
Well, this is wife number 3.
Yeah.
This is wife number 3. So
Wife number 3, not the parachute level. I don't know how that works because I've never had any money.
yeah.
So how does that work? You know, as you go into each successive wife, does the parachute get smaller with each one? I
I
don't
would
know.
think so. Like, I mean, by wife 3, it's got to be a smaller severance package.
Yeah,
right? It's got to be.
because it has to be. You know, it's been chipped away at a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, there was Jennifer was number 1. Mm-hmm. Okay. Stephanie Blank was
Yeah.
number 2. And I knew Stephanie. She actually worked in the store with me before she became Mrs. Blank.
You're kidding me, really?
Yeah. No, she was there. And then wife number 3, and I don't even know her name. She was.
That's not important.
Yeah, it's not really important.
No, we don't know. Don't worry about it.
You can't get married at this point. Do you think he'll get married again?
I don't see why he would.
Why do these guys with all this money just keep going and getting married and married and married over and over and over again? Because you get, like you said, you eventually have to give half and half and half. But
He's a very wealthy, handsome man. He has the good pharmaceuticals and the good health plan. He doesn't have to go to the gas station like we do to get our male enhancement drugs.
yeah,
He has the good stuff. He should just be knocking boots with something and just leave it at that.
yeah, you would think. Yeah, so, but along with just getting the wife and firing her, they also decided to fire Steve Sarkisian, Keith Armstrong, and Marquand Manuel.
This worries me a little bit.
Why?
Because in one way, people could look at it and say, well, this proves that the franchise is definitive in
Yeah.
wanting to get ahead. Another way to look at it is to say this looks desperate.
Yeah.
If you're getting, for instance, I think the getting rid of Marquand is a little bit harsh.
Do you?
But I understand. Okay, here's why. I mean, in light of what happened with the injuries this year, it seems a little bit harsh to me. On the other side of the coin, you have guys who are playing in backup roles. Obviously, you have the drop-off in talent when you have all these guys get injured, like, Keanu, and then you're losing the linebacker. Boom, 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 they're dropping like flies.
Yeah.
You're going to have a drop-off in talent, obviously, because you got Pro Bowl talent sitting on the sidelines.
Right.
But when you have guys who come in as backups, professional athletes who look like they're lost on the field, then maybe you have to take a look at the guy who's the teaching mentor.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Dan Quinn's the defensive guy, right?
Yeah, and it kind of makes sense. If you look at their Super Bowl run a couple of years ago, how did they get to they got to the Super Bowl because I'm not going to say because, but during that year, Quinn took over the play calling duties for the defense.
Yeah.
So why not?
Yeah. I mean, here's where I stand on this. I think, obviously Keith Armstrong, he's a special teams coach. Who cares?
Tight ends coach is gone too.
Yeah, the tight ends coach. You don't even care about that.
No.
They're not important. Obviously.
Yeah, maybe not, but it's when you look at this one, man, it's a bloodbath up there.
Yeah, but it almost seemed like everybody but Dan. They had to get rid of everybody but Dan. And I get the Marquand manual a little bit. Okay, so because like you said, Dan Quinn's going to take over the duties of calling the defensive plays, right? So he's going to take that over. So you've got now all the responsibility is on him. He kind of set himself up for that. If he fails next year, it's him now. The Steve Sarkisian thing, I didn't get.
I really don't understand it either. I mean, why do you want to? Here's what I'm thinking: if they're gonna go ahead and pull another OC in here, I believe the rumors that it's somebody they've already had, like a Malarkey, somebody that he's already comfortable with.
Right.
Otherwise, it makes no sense to bring in somebody else, yet another OC for him to get accustomed to. How many? He had 5 over the course of his career, right?
Yeah, this is getting ridiculous. I mean, and it's not something that I don't think Matt Ryan. He's a professional. He's been playing football probably since the time he was 4 or 5 years old. He knows the game. I think he'll adjust to anybody that comes in, and he'll be able to do that. But there is a learning curve.
Yeah.
And he's going to have to learn this. But what I didn't understand was the Falcons ranked 10th in NFL in points scored. They ranked 6th in the league in total yards and 4th in passing yards. That's not bad stats for an offensive coordinator, is it?
And quite frankly, looking at the play calling by Sarkisian, if you look at what he's done over the last half of the season, it's actually been improving a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. It almost seems like a knee-jerk. That's why I went with the whole desperation thing.
Yeah.
Because it just seems like – and then you start, chopping more wood because, they like to chop wood. In this case, though, it's coaches at the knees.
Right.
And then you go right down the list and you start to get rid of a tight ends coach, and it seems like it's nothing. But when you look at it as a whole, it looks like it's a little bit desperate.
Yeah. And here's part of my problem with this is there were 9 openings now in the NFL for head coaches. Okay, so 9, and then that includes 9 defensive coordinators and probably 9 offensive coordinators that these coaches who get these new jobs are going to have to look for. So now where are the Falcons going to go to get an offensive coordinator?
Okay, all right. So first of all, for defense, we get Smitty back.
Oh, God.
Oh, the looks on your faces. The looks on your faces. Okay, now, has Dick Cutter already moved through the rumor mill, and is he out again? Because now I'm hearing Malarkey.
Dirk Cutter and both Malarkey, I think, have already interviewed for the job, and I think they're interviewing maybe Darrell Bevel from Seattle.
See, that's the thing. I want no part of that.
Okay. Why would you want that?
I want no part of anybody who was involved in any way in that play call at the end of the Super Bowl. Where they threw the ball into a loaded box.
Yeah. And that's part of the thing that concerns me is you're not going to get. I don't know if you'll get better than Sarkisian right now, will you?
I don't see why you would.
Now,
I mean, if you're in the top third of the league in offense, why are you going to take a chance on taking a step back? Even if you bring somebody else who has experience with the organization, why are you going to mess with that? Especially when you look at the numbers. If you look at the numbers from the first half of the season up to the midway point, second half of the season, I mean, they finished average at 10. Yeah. But if you look at their numbers over the second half of the season, that's where they really pulled those numbers up, and those numbers are even better yet. I need to pull those up.
Yeah.
But the offense was going in the right direction. It doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't make any sense. Part of the problem is, and I think rushing yards is what kind of stood out to everybody because that's a totally different story. They ranked 27th in the league, but there's a reason for that. They lost the number 1 running back on their team early in the season. He was gone for the entire season. So, of course, you're going to lose some of that.
And you look at the fact that one of the leaders in the NFL in dropped passes.
Yeah.
I mean, even when you factor all of that in, the fact that Falcons still came in top 10 in the league in total offense.
Yeah.
That's remarkable.
And Julio had a year again. He had 8 touchtouchdowns this year. Huh?
Always has a good year. Like, I mean, he's as steady as a rock.
He literally might have defined himself as the best wide receiver. He's got to be top 3, right?
I would arguably, I would put him at number 1.
Yeah.
And it's not just a matter when I look at a guy who's a stud wideout, I also look at what he's able to do, how much of the field he's able to take away for everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, that's extremely important. And who takes away more of the field than Julio does?
Nobody. Yeah, and that was part of the thing last year was people were complaining he wasn't getting enough touchdowns, he wasn't scoring. But when he came out, and this is what makes him probably the best wide receiver in the league, is the first thing he said was, I don't care if I don't catch the ball. I don't care if I don't get the touchdowns. If our team wins, that's all I care about.
Let's see Odell Beckham come out and say something like that.
Or Antonio Brown.
Or Antonio Brown, who's screwing with everybody right now and probably going to screw up his own situation.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about Antonio Brown later on. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me that you have Julio having a record year, or a career year for him. Matt Ryan having another career year. It wasn't as good as 2015, but it was a great year for him no matter what. And you think offense is the problem when in all the categories except for rushing, which you're not going to be good with the rushing game because you lost your number 1 running back. Why are you getting rid of an offensive guy, especially when they came out later with this news? In that day, on Black Monday, which they call it, we already found out that we already knew Mike McCarthy was gone and that they're going to have to look there. We already knew that who else did we know was gone? Hugh Jackson was gone out of Cleveland. So we knew those are 2 jobs that are probably going to be up. Then all of a sudden we find out right away that Marvin Lewis is gone after 16 years.
Wow, how did he hang on for 16 years?
Yeah, I have no idea.
But
What's
anyway.
so funny about that is I think Hugh Jackson is now the front runner to take over in Cincinnati.
Yeah, Marvin Lewis came out and he said, hey, I endorse Hugh Jackson, which is a joke. That's not going to happen.
Well, actually, there are reports that Cincinnati's owner wants to hire Hugh Jackson, but he's so afraid of the public backlash, he's not going to do it.
Yeah. I don't really have the problem with Hugh Jackson that a lot of people do.
No, I don't think he's that. I don't think he's that bad. I think he had a lot of. He was in a pretty bad situation in Cleveland.
He just got to the point where his roster started to come back to him. I mean, I don't know what more couldn't you want from the man.
Yeah, I mean,
I want more than 336-1.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
I get that. Okay, but what we're talking about is they've been stockpiling talent. Mm-hmm. And as good as the talent is, you had guys out there who didn't have a lot of reps, but it's finally started coming together this year.
Yeah.
And then he's out the door. But with that being said, to me, that's probably the most attractive head coaching job in the bunch.
Oh, easily.
I would say so, yeah.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I think the New York Jets are probably a pretty attractive because of the cap room that they have. They have the second most compared to Indianapolis. Indianapolis has so much money to spend this year.
For a lot of people,
That's
the media
scary.
market kills that job, though.
Yeah. Well, New York's going to be a tough
they
place.
don't want to coach in New York.
But
a lot of guys don't have the skin for that.
You have a quarterback that in Sam Darnold that everybody thinks is going to be a great quarterback, and you have a ton of money to spend. So that could be an attractive job for somebody who really wants to get in there, and it'll be interesting because they're not going defense again. They're not going to find a coach that is a defensive-minded coach. They had Todd Bowles. That didn't work. That was horrible for them. So they're going to go offensive. And a lot of these teams, it looks like a lot of these teams, Cleveland, they have Baker Mayfield. Uh-huh. They're going to go with an offensive coach. They want somebody who's going to be able to run an offense. So it's going to be interesting to see because there aren't that many out there.
I hope the Jets can get something going, though, because I have a lot of Jets friends.
Yeah.
Because I spent some time living up there. And man, these people are just suicidal.
Oh, it's miserable.
Yearly. I mean, you gotta hide this. They're like the people in the joint that aren't allowed to shave themselves. They have to bring them the razor, and then what do you mean? Why he just sent me a note? How do I know about? You know how I know about that. Anyway, I want something good to happen for them, man. I feel bad for my Jets brethren. It's just sort of.
It's horrible. It's horrible to be a Jets fan. It's tough. But you kind of get used. It's like, remember when the Saints fans wore bags on their head? That's kind of what like a Jets fan is now, except we don't put bags on our heads.
Does it really just become part of your identity?
Cool.
Yeah, like the Cubs fans for all those years. That was part of their identity.
It's part of your identity. Even the Boston Red Sox fans, they were used to losing. And, Jets fans are just used to losing. Yeah, we want to see something. We want to see something happen. I'd love to see a Super Bowl.
That's like being a Falcons fan. Usually in the preseason, I'll have somebody that I know and trust. I'll tell them, hey, can you come over and just kick me in the pills about 6 or 7 times? And they're like, what's that all about? I'm like, well, it's preseason. I want to get in regular season shape for these Falcons
I want to be
games.
in mid-season form.
I want to be in mid-season form for game 1.
Really wind up and just kick. Yeah, I mean, and then I adopt, coming down from New York. I'm like, hey, I live in Atlanta now. Let me adopt the Falcons as my NFC team, so, and now look at me.
Bless your heart. You can't win, buddy.
I can't win. I mean, I went to the Super Bowl in '98 down in
He has
Miami.
a Yankees do-rag on. Get out of here.
I do have my Yankees. Yeah. Wait, where is it? Oh, the cameras are backwards, so yeah. But yeah, I'm kind of concerned about, where we're going to go with this, because now you got to look and go, who's available for this job? Who you going to get? Because you're going to want, if you're going to replace a guy who finished 6th in the league, 4th in passing yards, and 10th in total points scored, you got to replace him with someone who's going to do better than that. Who's out there that's going to do better than that right now?
Well, coming into the season, too, we were favorites in a lot of people's eyes for the Super Bowl and be the first team that won the Super Bowl in our own crib.
Yeah.
And then that's all, we had a lot of pieces in place, obviously. Immediately in game 1, we started seeing the injury dominoes fall.
Yeah.
Now we're in a completely different situation. Now, here's the thing. Now, we got coaches to replace now, buttload of them.
Right.
We have now they're talking about they have to make some wholesale changes along the offensive line, and they do.
Yeah.
They got to replace a couple different guys on the offensive line. And where are you going to get these guys? You're not going to get these guys to be able to play in the next couple of years through the draft. You got to go find somebody out on the free agent market or pick up a scrub. That's not going to work out. You're not going to be able to fill those holes in that offensive line doing that. It's just not going to work.
No, I mean, and part of the thing was everybody was kind of complaining at the end of the season that if they win that game against Tampa, then they're going to drop from the 7th pick down somewhere around the 14th pick, and that's exactly what happened. Was they won that game. But it is that area where the Falcons do need they need to look on the offensive line, they need to look on the defensive line, and obviously they need to look at cornerbacks. I think
they do, but the thing is, they can get good offensive line talent if they choose to go ahead and draft in the first round.
Yeah,
they
14,
make a commitment to do. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to find a good offensive lineman. They're not going to go early. Who's going to go early?
Lineman.
The defensive ends are going to go early.
Yeah. And
you're going to see the Ed Olivers go early. You're going to see who else is up there? The kid from Clemson's up there, Clellan. I'm trying to think of the other guys that are going to come out. Obviously,
well, first of all,
Bosa is going to go number 1.
The whole Clemson defensive line, just go ahead and just take them off. They're going to go pretty much one behind the other. I'm scared, and I hate to have to. I finally had to admit something to myself.
Okay.
We go back to Super Bowl 16. And actually during that year, people said, we're not there yet. We're actually ahead of schedule. Our Super Bowl window is just opening. And I think what I've learned, and to my chagrin, is that after the third quarter of that Super Bowl, the Super Bowl window started closing then.
Oh, yeah.
During that game.
That was it.
It was as wide as it was going to be halfway through that Super Bowl. And in that fourth quarter, that Super Bowl window started closing.
Yeah. And it really does, because as you look now where we're at this year, next year, Matt Ryan's getting older, Julio's getting older. We know Julio has some ankle issues, so the health is going to be a concern. Devontae Freeman already went down.
He has a problem with his foot.
Yeah, he has a problem with his foot.
Well, we need him.
Well, he's got screws in his foot, in his ankle, but it's not affecting his play, obviously. He came out this year and played great.
At least at wideout, we still have an embarrassment of riches, to use, actually, as a Rob Tribble-ish kind of thing to say.
Right.
I love that thing that he said. But you have Julio, then, of course, you have his fellow Alabama guy. You have Ridley.
Calvin Ridley.
And what a luxury is it to have a guy like Sanu in that slot position who if you just take away what he's able to do catching the ball, he's so important whenever he's on the field, even when he's not touching the football, the way he blocks, the way he's involved in plays outside of making catches. I mean, they're in great shape as far as the receiver core, and, of course, at tight end you have a Pro Bowler in Austin, in Hooper.
Yeah. Austin Hooper, a great tight end. Yeah, I mean, they're set up on offense. I mean, I think everything was running well. I think they will go defense in the first round. Right now, they're saying at 14, DeAndre Baker will be available out of Georgia, the cornerback. They need a cornerback. Trufant is garbage. Robert Alford, he's not that good either.
So we've gone from thinking that we had probably one of the top 3. Some people thought the best roster in the NFL going into this year.
On paper, it was
and then
the best.
At least, and just about anybody would have said at least top 3. And at worst, top 5. And now after seeing the way these guys have played this year, we're realizing that we are just loaded. We're just dotted with holes on both sides of the football.
Yeah, there's no depth behind the talent that we do have in our starters. We have a lot of talent there, but God forbid what happened this year. One of them goes down, you don't have much, and then running back, Tevin Coleman is serviceable. Smith is serviceable, but they weren't Devontae Freeman this year.
Well, Tevin Coleman doesn't give you what Freeman does, because when you have an offensive line that's not getting the job done, Tevin Coleman's not the guy you need. You need a guy like Devontae who can plant his foot and get up the field. Make things happen.
Yeah. So
Tevin Coleman's straight ahead guy. You got to make a hole for him.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, Devontae Freeman, he can cut, he can move, he can do things, and he can create really nice plays, and he was getting the yards. So and it's a shame. So Sark's out. How do we replace him? Who do we replace him with? I will tell you that if Adam Gase doesn't get a job out of Miami as an offensive guy, I'd love to see him kind of come in. But the other guys out there, like Josh McDaniels, he's not going to leave. New England to come down to be an offensive coordinator here. He might even get another shot at the head coaching job. He kind of blew it last year when he kind of went back, but I think that's a guy who will definitely get an NFL head coaching job.
He's interviewing for Green Bay this
That's
week.
what I've heard. That's the job he wants. That if he can get the Green Bay job, that he's going to jump.
Having Aaron Rodgers there, that's not a bad way to start off.
Not a bad deal. No.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. But they also have holes to fill.
Yeah, that poor guy didn't get a shot. Steve Wilkes in Arizona, he never really got a shot either.
They got problems defensively too. They got to fill some gappages.
It's going to be bad. So if you want to get in on it, 404-424-9119. We got traffic coming up. We got Adam Jungers back.
Yeah,
in the back.
had breaking news in the traffic department.
We had that some earlier. You know
bulletin.
Why don't we get some traffic going? It's Adam Jungers is here. It's Juggernaut Traffic. Here's Adam with your traffic, and I'll bring your sponsor to you here, buddy. Go ahead and do your thing.
Live right now in the Rhino and Cannon studio, we've got a road closure starting to pop up as more rain moves through the Atlanta area. Remember, folks, lights on, drive safe. Columns Drive shut down at Johnson Ferry Road. We just have a new crash, 85 northbound, just past exit 94, Chamblee Tucker. Before 285, 2 right lanes blocked there. Police on the scene only letting 1 lane through. Seeing backups just past Claremont Road. Those traveling around Gwinnett Center Arena or State Farm Arena this weekend expect delays from the Passion Conference. Session starting at 9:30 a.m. throughout the day till 10:30 p.m. Both events are sold out. This traffic report brought to you by Big Penis Male Enhancement Pills. I used to suffer from a soft, soggy meat scepter. Now I found a boner booster in Big Penis Male Enhancement Pills. All I do is pop one big penis in my mouth, and I'm ready to ride the skin bus to Tuna Town.
What? Wow.
Was there a website that I can get on for that?
That's bigpenismaleenhancement.com.
Okay.
It's a real product.
I hope so, because I was sold.
Adam, can you read that again? I mean, you kind of stumbled through that.
It
wasn't very professional.
Be a professional, will you?
Let's try that again. We'll start. We'll count you down. We'll go 3, 2, 1, mark, and then you go ahead with this traffic report brought to you. Ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1, mark.
This traffic report brought to you by Big Penis.
Okay, hang on. Okay, look on. You okay? You need a minute? You need a glass of water? Okay, here's your mark. Here's your mark. It's right there. Okay, we're going to mark this again. Here we go. Slate it. Ready? Okay, take 3.
This traffic report brought to you by Big Penis Male Enhancement Pills. I used to suffer from a soft and soggy meat scepter. Now I found a boner booster. I can't do it.
All right, good job.
All right,
Adam.
that's all right. That's very nice.
Good job.
Very nice.
Soft and soggy meat scepter. Wow.
Meat scepter.
Wow.
I can't believe you just submitted that on air.
I know.
I just and the alliteration was brilliant.
It was.
You sell products with alliterations.
Yeah. You can reach us 404-424-9119. We've been talking about the Falcons. If you want to get on that, who would you want to replace Steve Sarkisian with? What's the guy out there? Who's available? Who do we want to bring in here? We don't really want to retread some bad offensive coordinator that's just going to come in and not do any better. We need someone who's been to a Super Bowl.
Is there anybody, any name out there that if they picked them up, it would inspire confidence in you? after what happened this past season, where everybody had their hopes up, and now I don't. I have a hard time getting my hopes up this coming year after the way this year's gone.
I really do. I mean, this firing, like I said, the Marquand Manuel, I think you can find a defensive guy that could come in there. And if Dan Quinn's going to take over it, I trust him to take over the defense. Special teams, I don't care about tight ends. That's kind of yeah. I mean, I think we'll be okay. Hoop will be fine. He'll be able to do what he's done. I mean, you're not gonna lose anything there. But the offensive coordinator position is such an important position right now. And like I said, with 9 job openings, who are you gonna get? I mean,
Here's my gut feeling on that, is that obviously league rules mandate that there's guys they can't have talked to yet by league rules.
Yeah.
However, I'm guessing some contact has been made.
I'm sure.
And my gut is telling me that there's somebody who is interested in the job that Matt has worked with before.
Yeah.
And Matt is endorsing. I believe it's a Matt Ryan thing, because to me it doesn't make any sense any other way.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that. If Matt Ryan makes that decision,
I'm
said
fine.
This is the guy, I trust Matt Ryan to run that offense.
Totally cool. In fact, Matt Ryan should be given more leeway to run the offense anyway.
Absolutely. More like Peyton Manning ran the Indianapolis Colts and the Denver Broncos. I'm all in. So, yeah, we'll see what they do. I don't know if you saw this. There's a TV show. It's called The Masked
Black
Singer.
Mirror Bandersnatch.
I have not watched that. I heard it's
Love
gonna be,
it. I love it.
I haven't watched any of the Black Mirror, but I'm going to watch that.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Hunter's mom's going to call in. She's going to say hello. Is she on the phone now?
Okay.
Oh.
She's here. She's ready.
Let's say hello.
Already go ahead.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, y'all. It's Hunter's mama.
How are you? God, I miss you so much.
I'm good. I'm so excited to see my baby up there on the YouTube. I see the little Hunter cam.
You see the Hunter cam?
He has
Let
his
me
own
put that
camera
back
and
up.
everything. He's new to the business. He already has his own camera.
He's so cute.
Isn't he
And
adorable?
Brian, don't be putting baby in the corner. Why didn't Brian have a Brian cam?
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
Brian doesn't get his own cam.
That's right. Now, look, I got
Here
one
we go.
question for Hunter.
Okay.
Hunter?
Where were you last night?
No.
No?
Please don't ask me
Hunter,
that.
have you eaten?
Well, I haven't ate today, but I did drink a couple beers, so that should be all right, right?
Well, okay, but you better get you some cheese and crackers or something, son.
Some of the,
Now, look, y'all, Hunter told me that the demographics was going to be like 18 to 48-year-old men.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, once I get in touch with all my little ladies that work the auxiliary volunteer at the hospital,
yeah.
that's about 300.
Ooh.
All my close friends, that's about another 100. You're going to have to change up your format, because then your demographics is going to be little old women 63 to 73.
We might have to make a formatic shift, but at least we'll have more dating pool.
We definitely will. Now, we're going to want to know stuff like, what's the Pantone color of the year?
Okay.
Is fashion jewelry in or out?
All right.
Does Kohl's have bras on sale? Buy one, get one free.
Well, that I know they do.
Well, Scotty, yeah. I mean, I was
Yeah.
about to say that's right up
Okay.
your
Yeah,
alley.
And what are the public specials? How much is pork roast a pound?
Yeah.
So if y'all need my help, just let me know, because I have a lot of time on my hands since I've retired.
Yes.
And Hunter would probably be glad, because, he gets tired of me calling him.
Oh, well, you could call us anytime and talk to him right through here, since he won't call
especially since you do more show prep than we do.
Definitely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
you. Oh, we love you. How was your New Year's?
It was great. I went to a murder mystery dinner
No.
at my friend's house, and it was on a cruise ship.
Ooh.
Hunter would have been so proud of me. I was the showgirl.
Hey.
My name was
Yes, I would be
my
so
name
proud
was
of you.
Candy Cane.
Candy
Yeah,
cane.
Hunter, you would have died.
I'm liking
Hunter, I
the
want you to
show
keep
sound.
listening to this.
I have no
sewed
choice.
those too. I went and got 2 candy cane ornaments, and I sewed them on my boobs.
Oh, my
You know,
God.
these
Yeah.
boobs. And
Hey, Hunter, I'm feeling a certain way about your mom right now.
I was like, oh my God, gravity's taking over. I just had
Oh,
to
my
keep
God.
raising them higher and higher, because my boobs are falling down to my waist. And then, Hunter, guess what? Guess who was murdered?
Who was murdered?
It was me.
Oh my God,
goodness.
that's not right.
Yeah, yes, and I put on a show. I can't sing. I pantomime.
What kind of show are we talking about?
Oh, it was a show.
Candy cane tassels,
show.
Hunter.
Hunter, have you ever
Yeah,
seen
I
the
had a
movie
boa
Showgirls?
on. I was a showgirl. Had my candy canes
And a
pinned on my
boa?
boobs, and a boa, feather boa, and I sang "You're Just Too Good to Be True." Well, actually, I pantomimed it, but it was so much fun, and I got a video. So, Hunter,
Yeah, we need video or it didn't happen.
Yeah, we're going to need the video so that we can show Hunter, and we'll put it up on our YouTube channel so that everybody can see.
This is off to a
Well,
great start.
We'll talk about that.
We'll
talk
talk about it later. Yeah.
Yeah, Hunter's going to be talking about it on a couch.
My baby be on your show.
Of course. You know how much I love him. He's like my little brother.
I do, and I looking for Lepardos. Now I had my friends over.
Yeah.
Now, you know this, Scott, because you helped me. I came and got a pizza.
Yep.
And I didn't tell them I didn't make the pizza, but I did make this nice layered salad to go with the pizza.
Beautiful.
And they thought that was the best pizza they'd ever had.
I hope you took credit
So-
for it. That's look, I don't need to take credit
Yeah.
for it. You tell them, I made this.
Well, I gotta keep my secrets my secret.
All right, well, we'll keep
But
it a secret.
anyway, I
She's a
love
modest
Lepardos,
showgirl.
So I can't wait until it opens.
I can't wait to see you and have you back in there. And I can't wait to see the video from New Year's. It's going to be a blast. And love you. I miss you. I can't wait to see you again.
Pork tenderloin is
I love you.
$3.99 a pound.
I love you. Now, Hunter, you come see your mama. You can help her you can help me undeck the halls. Put the
Alrighty.
Christmas tree
Thank you,
stuff
Mom. I
up.
love you.
Okay. All right. And the other guy that's on the show, he's really cute.
Oh, that's AJ. Yeah, he is.
Hey,
adorable, isn't
AJ.
he?
That's the one that's sweet on you.
Hello. Hey, I think
Hello.
we'll have to continue this conversation later.
Okay. Well, I'll hang up now, and y'all just keep doing your thing.
All right,
got
Mama, we'll speak to you soon.
Okay.
Thanks for
Bye,
calling.
All
Mama.
right.
Oh,
That
you're going to
segment
go
of
over.
the show brought to you
Yeah.
by...
How red is Hummer?
I had to say something just to see him blush in there.
Yeah, he's blushing. Look at him. You got to go over and undeck the halls. I'll take off the candy canes.
Fantastic. This is going great.
We gave her the direct line into the studio, so she can call in now anytime.
This is perfect.
The psychiatry, is that covered on your insurance plan?
Only for 5 more months, because I'll be 26 in May.
Well, jump in, man. Jump in.
That was fantastic.
She does. Honestly, God, she does more show prep than we do.
I
No
hope
question.
I hope you get to meet her because she is one of the most wonderful and caring and loving women.
So
you'll
a
ever meet.
wonderful mammal, wonderful
Oh,
human mammal.
God, love her, love
Oh,
her.
well, it sounds like
What do you got for us, Hunter?
What? What do you mean?
Oh, I thought you had said something. I'm sorry.
No, I didn't say anything.
I'm sorry.
Hunter is stunned.
I don't want to say anything right now. I'm still blushing.
I know. God, did you know that about your mom?
I did not know that she was the candy cane showgirl. I knew about the murder mystery party.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that she was the showgirl.
I could tell by looking at his face through the glass. This was new information.
This was brand new. What do you think about the candy canes, though? Did that throw you off a little bit?
It didn't.
Isn't it weird when your mom starts
Well-
talking about her boob sagging?
Well, it really got kind of a low point in this room when she started saying that her boobies were down to her waist. At one point. I definitely could have gone my whole life without hearing that.
I kept looking at the Hunter cam on the computer to see when Hunter would get up and run crying out of the room because I was waiting for it, but he stood there. He took it. That's great.
That was very
Fantastic.
professional of you, by the way.
That was
That
professional.
was very professional.
All right.
Many
so-
people would have been running.
It was fantastic. Love her. I hope she comes back. Speaking of showgirls, Antonio Brown was
Elizabeth
on.
Berkley is going to.
It was a fantastic.
Oh, it's a great movie.
Antonio Brown was on a TV show on Fox called The Masked Singer, and I don't know if you saw this.
I've heard of it.
He dressed as a hippo.
So
Yeah.
I watched this last night.
Did you watch this?
It was terrible.
It was horrible. He was horrible.
I
wasn't he?
couldn't watch it.
I've just seen still photos. So tell me more about what happened.
Well, I have the audio of him singing. So he's saying Bobby Brown's My Prerogative. Hunter, play the audio for us.
It's okay. I wouldn't say professional singer.
That's Jenny McCarthy. All right, you can bring that down. It's horrible. You can keep playing in the background. That's fine. Yeah, so he was behind the hippo mask, right? So Antonio Brown, it's almost perfect timing for him, huh? He doesn't show up to Pittsburgh. Doesn't show up Saturday. He was supposed to have a physical on his knee. He said there was something wrong with his knee. Doesn't even show up to get the MRI. Doesn't show up to the walk-around for the Pittsburgh Steelers for their big game on Sunday, a game that really meant a lot to that team,
Yeah,
too.
it did.
And doesn't show up. He said in the past that he wants to be traded. He doesn't want to be there anymore. And now the question is, what does Pittsburgh do? What can they do about this guy?
I don't think. I mean, obviously, it's a matter of how do you get out of this financially unscathed?
Well,
That's the
yeah,
problem.
because I'm pretty sure the problem is, the main one is that even if they trade him, isn't it still like $21 million?
Yeah, I mean,
there's no way they can trade
It's a
him.
$21 million hit against their cap. Now, that does become dead money, and it can work. They've got to move it around, and they can defer some of that money back and back and back.
Yeah,
So-
but doesn't that involve another couple of moves to make that happen? I mean, it's by itself. Is that a possibility to move that dead money?
No, I mean, not really. You're not gonna be able to do anything if you do get him before the signing. Before they make the roster, they'll save about $7 to $8 million too. So that'll help a little bit. But they're still going to lose money on it. But do you really want a guy like that? You've already had problems with Le'Veon Bell. He is not there this year. You lose your receiver. Big Ben and him are supposedly fighting, but even though Big Ben says that nothing really happened, but Mike Tomlin came out. Do we have the Mike Tomlin cut?
Obviously, we take his lack of communication, his lack of presence, particularly on Saturday prior to the game, to be something that's very significant and will be handled appropriately. So I'm not going to speculate on trades and things of that nature. We haven't formally received a request in that regard. So I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to speculate in terms of where the discipline might go and things of that nature. Just know that it's going to be addressed, and it will be addressed and needs to be addressed for obvious reasons.
You take the term locker room cancer, man, they're eat up with it in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, between Le'Veon Bell and him.
Oh, my God, just the two of those guys, I mean, it doesn't get much worse than that.
Yeah, it seems like Mike Tomlin's lost control of some of the bigger, I guess, heads.
Yeah,
when it comes to the athletes.
And my concern is that you see, especially with Le'Veon Bell, you see the way the situation is shaking out with him this year.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that that's something that's going to encourage people around the league to do more of the same thing. I don't know if that's the case, though. It seems to be specific to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And to the situation there. And I hope it stays that way. I hope it stays isolated like that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it will. I think he's going to move on. I think he's going to play somewhere else. A team like New England would probably find a way to kind of restructure and make it work for them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then he'll be there because Bill Belichick seems to kind of take those guys and shape them into something.
Yeah.
They tried to take Josh Gordon. They've taken Randy Moss. They've done a lot to try to bring in those wide receivers. That's a good look. New York. They have, over $100 million in room. There's a guy that they could bring in for $20 million and try to make it work too. There's teams like Indianapolis. That one, again, you got T.Y. Hilton on one side, Antonio Brown on the other. They've got the most amount of space available in the NFL.
Yeah, the problem
that's a scary thought.
If you go to New York, especially when you bring in a head coach there, that guy isn't just a head coach; he's a ringmaster.
Yeah,
and that's difficult. That's a difficult set of shoes to fill, baby.
Yeah, you don't really want to have to babysit someone like him.
Yeah, but you gotta.
And a guy who's on his phone in the locker room while you're going over strategies for the game, while you're doing things, while you're trying to have a private moment with your team, and he's on Facebook and you hear everything in the background. I mean, this is a guy that's really hurting this team. And do you really want him on your team? I mean, if you're not a fan, obviously the Falcons aren't going to go for someone like this. We don't need him. We don't need a wide receiver. So they're not going to make that move. But if you're a fan of the different team, call us. Let us know. 404-424-9119. Would you want him on your team? Or where do you think he'll end up? San Francisco is another place that they're saying he could end up too.
He could fit into that situation in San Francisco, and Shanahan's probably the kind of guy who can handle him.
Yeah, and Jimmy G might be a good quarterback for him too.
Yeah, and plus that team is already set up well enough that he could slide in there and actually do a lot to elevate what they already have.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be going somewhere where they have to construct around him.
Well,
Yeah.
I've been reading reports that the Jets are interested in not only Antonio Brown, but also Le'Veon Bell, too.
Oh, God.
It could be both of them. There you go, Scott. You can just have a big old headache with your young quarterback.
That would be so miserable. You'd have two of the worst people that you could ask for on your team at the same time. Yeah, I mean,
They're
but
going to
look,
bring in some ne'er-do-wells and try to get us a Super Bowl.
now as the Jets, though, you got to find a
sound
new
like
head
Jets, huh?
coach who's going to be able to handle two guys like that. Like,
Bring back the tuna.
I'm sorry, that wasn't very New York of me. That was totally out of the New York market. New York would be more like, I tell you what, we're gonna bring these guys. Hey, let them get out of line while I'm around.
yeah,
I'll
Hey,
stick a
Scott.
pipe up their ass.
I got a question for you though. Do you want a guy like Antonio Brown on your team? Would you rather have a guy like that or a guy like Kareem Hunt on your team?
oh, I mean, I'd much rather have a Kareem Hunt on my team. Yeah, I mean, I don't. What?
Nothing. Nothing. Go right ahead.
It sounds like they're up to something. All right, go ahead. Oh, we got to find out what they're up to. Go ahead.
I don't care.
Oh, I'm wondering because all the Kareem Hunt bad talk. He pushed a woman at a hotel, whatever.
Yeah.
I wasn't there, so I can't judge. But
No.
me personally, I want a Kareem Hunt. Guy in the locker room who's steady, who's committed.
Yeah.
You're not getting that out of Antonio Brown.
No, you're not getting that.
But he has the Rooney family by the balls.
Well, yeah, and he's he has the league by the balls. Listen, he's one of the like we said, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham, and Antonio Brown are probably the three best wide receivers in the league right now. No.
Oh, yeah.
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not going to really kind of mess with that kind of guy, and the egos have become what they have in the NFL that you kind of get away with this now.
Okay, now a lot of people put Antonio Brown number 1 in the list of those receivers.
And I could see that.
Would you put him there?
Not this
probably,
season.
No, I'd probably put Julio there.
I would too.
I think it's a crime to not even mention DeAndre Hopkins.
DeAndre Hopkins
right,
is
yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
There's another. Yeah, those are part of the top 5 probably wide receivers, and DeAndre Hopkins could be in there anywhere too. Yeah, that's absolutely true. But someone's going to go get him. Somebody is going to want Antonio Brown on that team, and they're going to get rid of him.
Of course.
You're gonna take him, and I would take him as I'd rather have a Kareem Hunt. I just think there's more upside in the future for him. But yeah, I understand his problems off the field too. I do like the fact that he kind of came out and has addressed it and said that he'll try to change. I don't like any guy that hits a girl.
I don't either. But you know what? There comes a time when a guy owns it. And sometimes when a guy comes out and he owns it like that, and he can actually do something beneficial to try and keep other people from doing the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that's become prevalent in the NFL with some of the biggest superstars. Adrian Peterson, obviously, with the whole switch and pulling that off and hitting a kid.
He hit somebody with a switch?
Yeah, his kid.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, we call it a switch down here. I don't know what they call a stick up there, but
Well, you're from New York. You didn't call it a switch
we
up
call
there.
it a stick. But yeah, well, we also didn't go grab it. I mean, you just get pistol whipped in New York.
You don't have the kid go pick out a switch.
Yeah.
Hey, go to the next room, pick out a fire iron.
Yeah.
Bring it in here. I'm going to smack you in the head with it, you little bastard.
Smack you in the head. But yeah, I mean, that's been a tough thing, and I don't know, now that you're asking me that, I don't really know who I'd want, because as much as Antonio Brown is a distraction in the locker room, the fact of the matter is, what has he really done besides the fact that he's hurts his team by not being there and not participating. But if you get him on the team that he wants to be there with, if he loves Sam Darnold and feels like maybe he could kind of control Sam Darnold, or they have a great relationship, there's not much downside from that point. He doesn't have a criminal record like that. He doesn't do those kind of things. He does kind of keep himself clean in that aspect, where Kareem Hunt, yeah, he did make amends. He is going to try. And I do like the fact that he will probably speak out against what he's learned from this situation. And we don't know the full story behind that situation either. We only saw what's on video. We don't know what was said before that. So it is kind of a tough one. But
The Antonio Brown situation, man, that's tough, because you'd have to have a lot of underclassmen in place and a lot of cap money, kind of like the Jets do.
Yeah.
So he could come in, because he's not the kind of guy who's going to take a hometown discount. He's not going to come in and take one for the team so that you can fill gaps otherwise. So you better have some pieces already in place.
Yeah.
But somebody's going to spend that money.
someone's going to spend that money. You got to get a receiver like that, a top 4 receiver, top 3 receiver, maybe the best receiver in the league. You're going to spend the money to get.
But if somebody going to end up spending that money and setting their team back because of it, and is there going to be a situation where they're going to? What about the draft pick situation? Is Pittsburgh going to be able to? Are they going to deal him so that they can try to get some draft.
Yeah, they're going to want a first and second round
obviously,
pick.
they're going to go.
Or maybe 2 first round picks in the next 2 years.
Those picks are going to be dear, man.
And that's where a team like the Patriots will come in, and that's where Bill Belichick is better than anybody else. He'll say, yeah, I'll give you the next 2 first round picks we have, and knowing the Patriots, that's going to be pick 29 and pick 29 in the first round.
Right.
So he's not going to be afraid to deal 2 first round picks for an Antonio Brown. I would do that too. And that's what scares me as a Jets fan is I know Belichick, and I know that organization and what they do, and they know how to make these guys, get these guys for the cheapest they can and turn them into probably the best receivers. And it also extends a Tom Brady.
Yeah. So Antonio Brown, I don't know if you get a 1 and 2. At least you're going to go for a 1. You try to get a 1 and 2. But you're probably going to get a 1, but you're probably going to try to backload the end of the draft.
Yeah.
And so I figure somebody's going to have to give up, maybe not a 1 and 2, but they're going to have to give a lot of draft picks.
Yeah, you're going to have to give up a bunch to get him. And they will, and someone will. Someone will. The Jets, again, like I said, they have a lot of money to spend. They don't really need the draft picks. They do have places that they do have needs. Obviously, they need, a wide receiver, and they need a running back to help Sam Darnold out. So, there you go. And I really don't want them to go get those 2 guys. I really don't. But
I can tell this is weighing heavily on you.
But if it brings us a Super Bowl, it's kind of like it's
the Lord has put this on your heart.
Yeah.
I think it'll work with the right coach. What if they bring in someone like Mike McCarthy?
I would love a Mike McCarthy. I think that's a great deal. Even, I would love Mike McCarthy.
Or they get those 2 players, and all of a sudden Bruce Arians is interested.
Bruce Arians would be another good pick.
I've never been to a Jets game. I just want to go to a Jets game and feel the misery.
Is Darnold
I went to a
really
Falcons
your
game,
guy?
haven't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, but it's a different. But I'm sure it's a similar kind of misery. Falcons game is different. Falcons game, like I said, is like getting kicked in the pills.
Yeah.
So is it the same deal with the Jets, or is it just an abstract misery?
It's the same thing, but the funny part about it is you're always hyped up because you always think the Jets are going to be better than they are.
You're drunk.
But you're ready for that letdown, and you're drunk. But the stadium's always packed. It's always exciting. Everybody really just kind of buys into a Jets game, and if they win, great. If they lose, then great too. Who
so
cares?
here's the thing. There's always here's what I've picked up then.
Yeah.
So there's always a very big air of depression.
Yep.
Everybody's drunk.
Yep.
Everybody is suicidal, some of which are in the fetal position. And this is just on the sidelines.
Yes.
Okay, this is before you get into the stands. This is just the roster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Now I'm starting to get the feel.
Yeah. It's kind of like, being a Falcons fan.
That's my kind of game.
With everybody telling you you're going to go to the Super Bowl, or being 28-3 in a Super Bowl and watching that happen.
I love there's so much depression in the stadium that Pfizer is one of the main sponsors.
They got a Xanax sitting on the bathroom door.
Oh, God. That's the truth.
We have a free year supply of Xanax to the guy in section 420, row 12, seats 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Bring you and your wife.
All right. We got a lot more coming up. We have a Sesame Street character in big trouble, so we're going to talk about that as well. And then we have UCF, and we have Bevo versus UGA. So those are coming up. But let's go ahead and check in on traffic. All right, it's Adam Jungers. He's here again, and it's Juggernaut traffic. Hey, take your time on this because I got to go pee real quick, and I'm going to try to sneak out while I hand you this, all right?
Sounds good.
All right, make it
Okay.
stretch.
Road closures starting to pop up all around Atlanta as we see more rain move through in the evening hours. Expect delays in the morning. Columns Drive shut down at Johnson Ferry Road. Still seeing a little bit of traffic from that earlier wreck, 85 northbound, just past exit 94, Chamblee Tucker Road. 2 right lanes blocked, police on the scene. You're still seeing delays back to Claremont. Those traveling around Gwinnett Center Arena or Safe Farm Arena this weekend expect extra delays from the Passion Conference. Sessions are sold out from 9:30 a.m. till 10:30 p.m., so expect those service streets to be crowded. This traffic report brought to you by Bottom Buddy Enema Bulb. When I'm tongue punching a fart box, the last thing I want is the taste of a nutty log in my mouth. Bottom Buddy is the bidet that you can take anywhere. The boys call me Romaines, so make sure I have a fresh salad to toss.
All right, Adam, we're gonna need you to try that one more time.
Yeah,
again,
we're gonna have to take another run at that.
3, 2, 1, mark.
Okay,
This
here-
traffic report brought to you by Bottom Buddy Enema Bowl. When I'm tongue punching a hard box, the last thing I want is the taste of nutty. All right.
They can't do it.
I can't do it.
Okay.
All right, let's try this again.
That was the. You took a pee that quick?
Man, I ran. I had to get back to hear the traffic sponsors.
Dude, that's like you just went in there, emptied the colostomy bag.
I peed on the floor.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Got to the bathroom door and turned around and came back.
All right, let's try this again. 3, 2, 1, Mark. This traffic is brought to you by...
But I'm Buddy Enema Bulb when I'm tongue punching.
Try it again.
What's up with this shit?
Who writes this stuff? What kind of sponsors do we have? Go ahead.
When I'm
Come on, Adam. You got it, buddy.
when I'm tongue punching a fart box.
I don't know. This is breaking down like a Will Ferrell scene.
Right.
I have tears coming out of my eyes.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll try near the end of the show. We'll try it again. We'll let him compose himself.
All right. Yeah.
What kind of sick bastard copywriter do we have in our sales department?
Man, these sales guys are brutal.
I tell you what, though, they're selling.
Yeah, they are selling.
We're making money. We're making money. All right. Let's look at this. We have Grover.
Yeah,
Do you know Grover?
I do know Grover. I grew up with Sesame Street.
All right. So Grover got in some trouble this week. Hunter, play the long version first. I want to hear what you hear.
Move it to follow you.
Move the camera! Yes! Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea!
What did you hear?
You dropped the F-bomb.
Okay.
Move it to follow you.
Move the camera! Yes! Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea!
I don't
Okay.
hear it. No, I heard that people think he dropped the F-bomb. I don't hear it.
You don't hear it. What do you hear?
I don't know. I don't know what the hell
I
he's
hear
talking
it.
about. You do? You really?
I hear it.
Hey, can we hit it
The shorter
again?
version.
Okay.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea!
What kind of idea is that?
Where is it? Okay. Okay, one more time.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea!
Excellent idea.
Yes, that's a effing.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea!
I don't hear it.
Yes, that's an effing excellent idea. Hunter, do you hear it?
Yeah, he definitely drops an F-bomb.
Really? I don't hear it. It's like the green needle thing.
What did you hear, Adam?
I definitely heard the F-bomb. Oh,
Now,
what else could he be
when I
saying?
played it
Wait a
the
minute.
first
Wait a
time,
minute. What's, again, how am I not hearing this?
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea!
Yes, that's an excellent idea.
yes, that's an
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea!
yes, that's an effing excellent idea. You don't hear it.
I don't
Now,
hear it.
I'm gonna change it up. Okay, now listen to what I'm saying. Okay,
Okay, try one more time. Go ahead.
hold on.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea!
Yeah, I heard it that time.
Okay. Apparently, a lot of other people heard this as well. Okay. Apparently, he's saying, "Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea. Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea." Now play it again.
Green needle.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea!
Did you hear that right?
Yeah.
Sounds like an excellent idea.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea!
That's what I heard the first time. I never heard the. That shows where your minds are at.
That's where it reminds us.
That's
Now,
definitely true.
Hunter, when I first played it for you, what'd you hear the first time?
I definitely heard the F-bomb.
You heard the F-bomb.
I was kind of appalled, actually.
Your whole childhood came crashing down like your mother was wearing pasties that were made out of candy canes.
Yeah, and her boobs are down to her waist.
This night has been very illuminating for you, sir.
We're ruining your entire childhood. This is almost as bad as when you left the six-pack under the Christmas tree hoping your dad would come home.
2019, starting off the same way 2018 did. Perfect.
And once again, the family had to drink the beer because
Yeah.
we didn't show.
Oh, God.
It's become a tradition
Yeah,
Six
but
pack isn't enough.
in
Come
the
on.
Williams household.
yeah, so this is the big debate now.
Candy canes and beer.
Candy canes and beer. Two things that'll never be allowed, and barbecue.
Oh,
Never allowed in the Williams household ever again. They eat barbecue for every holiday, by the way.
Really?
every single freaking holiday.
You just don't do the traditional.
They just I don't know what it is, but the problem is that like I actually like barbecue if it's like homemade, original recipe stuff like that. But they get this bullshit from like Sonny's Barbecue up in Canton,
Oh,
and
yeah,
we
yeah.
have it at least at one family gathering every year.
I don't know.
Do you not talk about our next traffic sponsor?
Oh, sorry, Sonny.
Some people swear by Sonny's.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
I'm a Williamson Brothers guy.
Actually, when I first moved here from New York, I never we don't do a lot of barbecue up in New York, obviously. But when I first moved here, I was doing one of those like 5Ks Well, I walked about a half a K to a bar and then found a cut through after I sat for an hour and then ended up at the finish line. But Sonny's was one of the sponsors, and I was like, this is barbecue? It's not that. Their coleslaw sucked.
Yeah, so in a barbecue up north in New York is just like ribs and stuff. And then in some places, barbecue is actually the verb.
Right.
And you don't, And in some places, it's barbecue.
Yeah, when you say barbecue in New York, you're thinking, hey, cool, we're going to grill out some hamburgers, some hot dogs, some Italian sausage, those kind of things.
And whatnot.
Some baked beans, so Uncle Tom can fart all night, all that good stuff. Barbecue here is a totally different thing. All right, let's.
Okay, now there's
we got to hear this Grover thing one more time.
We're gonna hear that.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea.
I hear the curse word every single time they say it.
I don't.
I forgot what he was saying or what he
says. Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea.
I'm not hearing that.
See, if I say it, you'll hear it. Ready? Yes, he says, yes, that sounds like an excellent idea.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea.
Did you guys hear it that time?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Yeah. You did.
Is this like the green needle brainstorm thing?
Yeah.
Did you guys ever do that?
This is like that blue dress, blue or black or gray or gold and white.
Okay, one more time.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea.
I still don't hear it. At this point, it's irritating me that I'm not hearing it.
All right, now I'm going to fix it for you.
AJ
Ready?
feels left out.
I do feel left out.
Now everybody's going to hear it the right way. Yes, that sounds like a effing great idea.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea.
Yes, that sounds like a effing good idea.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea.
That time I definitely heard the F-bomb.
Play the long version again.
Okay.
Move it to follow you.
Move the camera. Yes, yes, that sounds like an excellent idea.
I hear that sounds like an excellent idea.
Yes, that's an effing excellent idea.
Well, AJ Cannon, you are just pure as driven snow.
Yes,
That's what you hear.
that's what the bouncer at the trapeze club keeps telling me.
All right. So Grover's in big trouble. I want to know what other people hear. If you heard it, 404-424-9119, 404-421. Wait, no, 424-9119. You know, it gets confusing here because we have 3 different radio stations too. So I work here most of the week.
So you're going to have them calling somebody else who's on there.
Yeah. So
hey, I want to
we
talk
have
about
different
this fucking thing.
Yeah. I want to talk about Grover saying the F word everywhere.
Yeah, talk about the potty mouth Grover that you guys were talking about.
It's just, I heard it one way, someone else heard it the other way. I played it for Brian, who I thought definitely would hear the F word.
He did.
And the first thing he heard was, it sounds like Grover said, yes, that's an excellent idea. That sounds like an excellent idea.
Okay, so now I'm starting to think that maybe the worst kind of person you are. You actually hear.
Yeah, now I'm starting to get. So once we brought Brian up, you just grouped you two as the worse you are. You don't even hear the bad words.
Right. Okay, now we've reestablished the way of classifying this. Okay, now I see where we're going.
Oh God, poor Grover, man. He's gonna.
Now, because it's worse. It's worse yet because now Grover is also lumped in with me and Brian.
Yeah.
So this is bad for Grover.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we know about Elmo. Let me ask you this: who would you rather have, Antonio Brown on your team or Elmo and Grover?
Ooh.
Well, when Elmo, I don't want to. Sorry, I'm glad to go into the.
We should probably not go to that level today. So.
Well, let's not do that again.
Oh God, yeah. So Grover's going to be in a lot of trouble. Speaking of, well, listen to that. Hello.
We have a new engineer back here.
Oh, okay. We have our new engineer, Juggernaut Traffic. He's probably checking up on some.
He's calling out for a gig. He's trying even harder now to get that gig that he's trying to springboard off.
He's like,
I'm calling over to the triple team traffic center right now.
He's like, listen, I got to get out of here. They're ruining my career with these sponsorships.
Intercom radio job board +1. Oh my God.
I don't know if you saw this as well. I mean, I assume that as a Georgia fan, you watched the Sugar Bowl.
No, I watched very little. I saw early on what was going on. Here's where the tone was set.
Yes.
You mentioned this earlier.
Yeah.
You alluded to it. When Bevo went after Uga, honest to God, I saw that. I said, well, I hope that's not a harbinger of things to come. and I had a little chuckle.
Yeah.
Then as it turns
Literally,
out, I could not watch. Actually, about halfway through the first quarter, I said, I see where this is going.
Yeah.
And I don't see it correcting itself.
No, and it did not correct itself. Turned out to be a bad night for Georgia, a bad night for maybe the SEC. The funny thing about football is, and college football, it's the only time I've ever seen anybody who, like I'm a Florida guy, I'm a Gator, but I was rooting for Georgia. I was rooting for LSU. I'll root for Alabama against Clemson because I get this SEC pride. Even when we were in, I went to Mercedes-Benz. I saw Florida beat the heck out of Michigan. I was very excited about that. And the chant started, SEC, SEC, SEC. They didn't chant Florida. So it's kind of a weird thing because I'm watching this game and I'm like, man, I can't believe I want, UGA to win this game. I want Georgia to beat the heck out of Texas and prove the fact that we should have the top 4 teams.
Let's be honest about it. As SEC fans, there is a level of snobbery.
There really is.
That has been earned over the years.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Listen, I truly believe that it is the best conference head to toe.
Still is.
In college football.
It still is.
And I'm not saying they can't be beat. Listen, anybody can be beat on any day, and that was proven. Listen, Georgia's still the better team.
There's no doubt.
Georgia is the better team. They
That's
have
what's
a better
so
quarterback
maddening about it.
Now, I won't say anything bad about Ellinger because he played fantastic.
Well, first of all, Texas is not a sucky team. We're not saying that either. Texas is a very good team, but they shouldn't be able to play with Georgia.
Tom Herman turned that team around this year, but they are not on the same level as Georgia.
No, not even close.
But that being said, this team played perfect, and Georgia did not.
Let me tell you what makes it so much infinitely worse for me is that it wouldn't be so bad. Oh, hell no. Actually, it would be bad either way. I mean, Georgia totally embarrassed itself in that football game. There's no doubt about that. Even Uga, cowering the way he did, little prick.
Man, he just ran. He turned and ran so quick.
He just took off. I know. So he's so much bigger.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's the problem: is that
his ankle.
The problem
Come up with a plan.
Everything that happened with the Georgia players and social media leading up to that game makes it so much worse because these knuckleheads, just don't hit send.
So do you think this is a lack? I mean, this isn't really a lack of control on Kirby Smart's.
It's a lack of institutional control.
I don't know if it really.
No,
I mean,
here's what this.
I like the way he explained it, and I should have grabbed this cut earlier, but he did explain it to kind of say, hey, this is different. Back in the days, these guys all had the same kind of feelings. They just didn't have anywhere to put it. Right. Now they do.
But that's true. But this goes back to also these guys have to learn not to do that kind of crud, and there has to be. The coaches can't control that. I mean, once you get them outside the outside of Butts Mare building, off the practice field, and you get it. Now you can't control them anymore. But at least there has to be some kind of these guys have to have some kind of maturity.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're still young guys. It's not going to be some great level of maturity from top to bottom. But just the fact that these guys came out the way they did and totally denigrated Texas, man. They put a chip on their shoulder big time.
Absolutely. They gave them all the bulletin board material they needed.
And that's okay. You give them the bulletin board material. Even with that, you should be able to come out and kick their ass.
Yes.
And it was a matter of them not bringing their game. They just didn't bring their game. They were this is what bothers me is that there seems to be a pattern, obviously not in every game, but every now and then you see like they go down to LSU. You know what happened in that game? Same thing that happened against Texas. Yeah. They were completely and totally overconfident going into that game, and their game plan blew up early, and they freaked out and couldn't recover from it.
Yeah, and I think Georgia going into that LSU game, they saw Florida beat LSU pretty easily and really just took out Joe Burrows early in that game and said, hey, we know we could beat Florida. We're going to beat Florida, so we know we could probably beat LSU pretty easily, too. And they forgot about it.
And they had a bunch of young guys who never played in front of a bunch of people who have been drinking homemade wine all day before they got to the stadium. Yeah. And they were intimidated by the environment. That's understandable to some, but the fact they didn't look prepared for the game, that was unacceptable.
Yeah, and Kirby Smart keeps taking it on himself, saying, hey, I got to do a better job coaching. Now, he did get out-coached. Tom Herman came in there, and like I said, Tom Herman's done a great thing. Wow, all our power went out. Look at that.
Wow.
Oh,
hey, I'm digging this.
Hey, all right, well, we're out of power, but you can still hear us.
That's Hunter's way of saying we're past our time.
We are past our time. That's exactly what it is. But our power went out here, but you can still see Hunter really well. You can't see me or AJ, and that's fine. We can still talk, so I'm not worried about that. But Tom Herman's got this team prepared. He's got them to be the next level. This is the next team. This is the next team in the Big 12 that's going to do some damage. They're going to be the one that beat Oklahoma year after year. They're going to be probably the favorite in that for the next few years because of what Tom Herman's done. But he had them prepared. They came out just like Bevo came out to step on Uga. And like you said, I saw the same thing. When I saw that happen, I said, oh, my God, this is a sign. If I've ever seen a sign, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right out, like literally, Bevo came out of the gate and tried to stomp on Georgia.
He tried to eat him.
Texas comes out of the gate right away and just steps right on Georgia. So it was kind of ironic. I do feel bad for Georgia fans because it is kind of one of those things where you start to begin to believe that Atlanta's cursed. The Falcons are cursed. Georgia's cursed. Like, that team should never have lost to that Texas team.
Well, I mean, this leaves a bad taste in your mouth all off season. And some of the Georgia players, I heard some audio. I can't remember who it was, but there was a couple of guys who were saying, well, this program, regardless of what happened in this game, is still on the uptick, and it is.
Yeah.
But that's not, after a game like that, it's not the time to be talking about the fact that you were there on the ground floor when the program took a turn for the better.
Right.
That's no time to be talking about that kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll see if they can right this ship. Georgia's obviously got a great class coming in. They got a lot of blue chip guys coming in. I'm sure they're going to be fine. I wouldn't worry if I was a Georgia fan. I will say this: you got to watch out because Tennessee's coming back. You got to watch out because Will Muschamp might have something going in South Carolina, and you got to watch out because Dan Mullen's definitely got something going down in Florida.
I mean,
for you.
they've had the past couple of years. They've had their chance to have their run of the East, and they've taken advantage of that.
Yeah.
But, the guard could be changing here in a minute because Florida is going to be something next year. They're going to be stout.
Yeah, Emory Jones is going to be,
Tennessee's
really,
maybe 2 years away.
Tennessee's probably 2 years away. But again, I think that they started to right that ship at the end of the season. Florida, the same thing. What Florida's got going for them is they got Emory Jones, who was supposed to be the head-to-head guy with Justin Fields for the next 4 years. Now, obviously, Justin Fields is gone. He's going to go head-to-head with Fromm, and then obviously a new quarterback that's going to have to come in and take over for Fromm when he leaves. But, yeah, I mean, you got to, like you said with the Falcons, the windows start to close on these teams. You start losing these guys, and if you keep doing what you're doing, if you lose to Texas, that hurts recruiting. That's going to hurt you in the long run, but I think Georgia's fine for a while. I think they got another 2 to 3 years ahead of them of some really good, talented teams. And I don't think Kirby Smart's one to kind of sit back on and think of as Mark Richt, because you heard that a lot as well.
And it worries me a little bit because you have all these guys who are sitting on the short list for Georgia. It might be one of those deals where you don't really notice it on the back end because Georgia's going to do well enough recruiting anyway.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, because of the way that game went, there's going to be 1 or 2 guys on the short list who are going somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because of what they saw on that field.
Yeah, well, let's hope that doesn't happen for Georgia because we do want that competitive nature in the SEC.
Oh, Georgia's still going to be loading up. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, we still don't get to talk about UCF. We're going to wrap up the show. I want to hear the Grover again.
Yes, that sounds like an excellent
That's
idea.
how I heard it.
Yeah, heard it?
Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea.
Now you're going to hear
That's
it.
weird. That's like now that's the last 2 times I heard it.
AJ's just saying that because he doesn't want to be grouped
No,
in
no,
with
I
Rhino.
swear to God. I swear to Green Needle.
One more
Yes,
thing.
that sounds like an excellent idea.
Now that's all I can hear.
That's going to be our new drop. We're going to use it all the time. Adam, I need the traffic report sponsor. We got they're paying for
let's
us.
not forget about today's show. Today's show sponsor for traffic is brought to you by Bottom Buddy Enema Bulb. I know when I'm tongue punching a fart box, the last thing I want is the taste of a nutty log in my mouth. Bottom Buddy is the bidet that you can take anywhere. The boys call me Romaine, so be sure I have a fresh salad to toss. Bottom Buddy Enema Bulbs, see our ad in Men's Health Magazine.
Good job.
Hey,
Way to get
nicely
through it.
done.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for coming and watching on YouTube. Don't forget, please click and subscribe. We need all the subscriptions we can get. Hopefully you had a good time. We're going to talk about sports. You can join us at any time. 404-424-9119. Our power went out. Our lights are out, but you can still see AJ's face. We got our song. Jesus is a friend of ours. Hopefully he's a friend of yours. And if you listen to the show, God knows you need Jesus. Thanks for coming. Have a great night. For AJ, the loose cannon, I am Scott Rhino. Have a great night. We'll see you next week.
He's one who will never leave you flat.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of
I
mine.
have a friend in Jesus.
Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.